All right, good night and welcome to Straight Up. Look, let's get straight to the point. I know you guys are tired, sick and tired of the lies, sick and tired of the propaganda. You guys are sick and tired of every single thing coming out from the regime. Now, I know this is, it's a time for the nation to mourn. But how could you just basically sit back and accept the lies from these vagabonds in the PPP regime. Whether it's the guy that's masquerading himself as prime minister, whether it's the guy that masquerading himself as presidents, whether it's the guy that masquerading himself as vice presidents, whether it's the guy that masquerading himself as minister of infrastructure. How can you guys listen to these vagabonds? These individuals have caused the nation tremendous amount of stress, tremendous amount of problems throughout the country. How can you guys stomach listening to these vagabonds from one lie to the next? And then when they lie, they dig a hole to cover up those lies. And then by the time they finish covering up those lies, another set of lies again and propaganda and misinformation. And they're so confusing. It's that they forget what they lied about. They forget what they tried to cover up. They forget about the propaganda. And so it's from one thing to the next. Paku and Paka held a press conference today, and it came probably not so long after that the former Minister of Infrastructure, David Patterson, and one of the survivors, they were on. We did a program earlier. And so I'm not saying that they came on because we did a program, but it's ironic. It's kind of strange that they were silent for the most part. They weren't saying much, but because they were exposed by this survivor, they were exposed by other survivors, and they were exposed by constant banging by social media personalities. Those individuals who have highlighted and they continue to do so. And let me say kudos to those social media personalities who know what they're about and who have been exposing the corrupt PPP regime. So this is not a one-sided thing. I'm not saying that we are the only ones at Bench Up Radio. There are other social media folks who are doing this as well. They are opposition politicians who are constantly on the ground and they're meeting with family members and so forth, and they're doing their job. And we have seen a lot of them very, very busy. And so this is not a one-sided thing. And so it's just maybe coincidental that they were able to call an immediate so-called press conference. And at this press conference, they said nothing much other than lies and all sorts of things. One of the things that actually caught my attention, though, is this Mickey Mouse who's masquerading as the country's prime minister. He said that, and that was just about 6 o'clock this afternoon. And a lot of you guys know Guyana. As soon as it's 5:30, 5 o'clock or something like that, or maybe closer to 6 o'clock, place starts to get dark. But interestingly, this guy, Mark Phillips, the Paku, Mark Phillips, actually, when he was responding to a question, I don't know which one of the media houses posed that question, because I couldn't hear much of what was being said, the questions that were being asked. However, Paku Phillips responded by saying that as of now, meaning closer to 6 o'clock, divers were already at the scene, and that divers were preparing to dive. At that time of the night, late afternoon, places gotten dark. What diver or what divers are you talking about? Is the Guyana Defense Force equipped to do that? No, I'm not knocking the Guyana Defense Force. I'm not saying that they can't dive, but at that time of the night, and so without any evidence, the guy that is masquerading himself as a prime minister of Guyana. And if you notice, this is the only time they put him out there to talk. Tragedy. You go out and you talk. You be the face of darkness. And so these two Pakus are now the faces of darkness. while Irfan Ali is running around pretending as though he's now the Pope. He has taken over from London, Pope London, who passed away. And now Irfan Ali is masquerading himself. He's holding hands and he's praying. God in heaven knows who he's praying to or what he's praying about. You pray after you cause the problem? Now, some of you out there might say, no, I don't. They don't have the Midas, if you know what I mean, Midas or Midas touch. And so they cannot pray and heal anybody. They cannot pray and solve any problem. They are the problem. Irfan Ali is the problem. Mark Phillips, Mark Screwface Phillips is the problem. Bishop Edgel, who's masquerading as a bishop with a set of bangles on his hand, gold bangles, gold chain, gold teeth, gold nose ring, gold whatever else. He's masquerading around as a man of God. But yet this so-called man of God who lied to the people of Guyana, misinformed the people of Guyana, attempted to mislead the people of Guyana. But because you guys out there, all of you, 99% of you watching, forget about the lunatic 1% that's basically their heads dung in the sand, sucking up every piece of misinformation and propaganda from the corrupt PPP regime. They're the 1%. We don't have time with them. Now, I want you guys to listen to this here now. As the Bajans would say, wanna listen to this. Wanna listen to this. This vagabond lied and lied and lied and lied. And not once did he step forward to apologize to the nation. I'm talking about this lunatic. Well, there are two of them on the screen. But this so-called bishop, the bishop, lies, lies, lies. And let's go straight to the so-called bishop lies that he never apologized for, never, misleading the nation. Misleading the nation. This is what the bishop said and never apologized.
Even the survivors who made videos from the hospital, they're telling you what happened. And it had nothing to do with overload and both taken in water. It had to do with the tide. Please be advised that the MV Berima is licensed to carry 284 tons of cargo. The cargo manifest.
This crapo, Edgel, said that it had nothing to do, the vessel had nothing to do with being overloaded. Neither has it had anything to do with taking in water. Nothing to do with taking in water. Good night to all of you guys. Welcome to Straight Up. It's a night that we should be mourning for a nation. We should be praying for people. Dozens of people are missing, probably close to maybe over 100. They're not giving you the exact figures because they don't know the exact numbers. And so they're guessing their way. So many children. Wait until tomorrow. Wait until tonight. Wait until by the time the place gets clean. They already know the area. Thanks to some fishermen who found the spot. Lots of questions have to be answered. But those questions cannot be answered by these pakus, these criminals in office, these political vagabonds, these political criminals in the PPP. Now, this vagabond, Edgel, somebody buy a pack of extra large bra for him or something like that. Shameless. Look, ain't got no shame. Anyways, that's besides the point. Now, this vagabond Edgel, who should resign by now, and I'm not sure why thousands of people aren't in front of his office forcing him out of office, forcing him to resign. In fact, the entire government should resign, but realistic speaking, those oppressors are not going to go just like that. Maybe until if they see 10, 15, 20,000 people in the streets. But then again, nobody wants to bell the cat. No leader really want to go out there in the streets. Everybody just want to take a little photo up, little picture, little this, and put it on social media, and that's about it. But I want to take you guys to, since he said that it wasn't overcrowded, it wasn't overloaded, and then there was no water or whatever it is, there was nothing. Let me take you guys to a video, and you will see exactly what happened. And last evening when we showed this, a Paku from the PPP said that we were spreading propaganda, typical of the Pakus. But take a look.
Everything uploads out.
Okay, so the first video, we saw the ferry. It was overloaded. Then there are other videos with water seeping in. We saw every single thing. So how could this Paku, Edgel, how could anyone believe this Paku? Anyone? How could people believe this Paku Edgel? Not a single person. Now let's go back to his lies, please.
Shows that we had 268 tons, way below the cargo load. Secondly, the MV Burima is licensed to carry 397 passengers, and we only had 116 passengers on board. The misinformation of overloading as the cause of this incident must be dealt with for what it is. Misinformation and something to create panic and public
misinformation. He continues, no engine problem, no mechanical problem. The ferry, according to information, was operating with one engine. But yet that Paku Edgel said there was no problem, absolutely none. This is a man, he said that when there was no investigations. They did no investigation. There's no independent investigation. So what this Paku attempted to do was to just be police, judge, jury, every single thing at once. Every single thing at once. And to brainwash members of the public into believing that nothing else happened. There was no overcrowding. There was 116. And then it moved from 116 to maybe 169 to maybe almost 200 now. And then we may hear over 200. So it keeps changing and changing and changing. Because these vagabonds cannot keep up with their lies. They can no longer keep up with their lies. They can no longer keep up with their propaganda. They have lied to the nation, and they continue to lie to this nation. That is what they are doing. And these vagabonds must be held accountable. Someone has to hold them accountable. And you know who that someone is? You, the people, you guys, the citizens of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, or the citizens of Guyana, they are the ones that have to hold these vagabonds accountable. Now, I'm not sure if some trench crapple in here, I see one or two of them tell me to shut your punk ass, lying, deceitful mouth. I don't know who Wesley. And Wesley can say right now before he or she goes into the trench. Whether you're referencing me to shut my mouth or you're talking about Ejil. You guys got to be specific so we could throw y'all in the trench right away. We want to throw y'all in the trench. Don't be afraid to say it's me y'all are talking to. It's okay to say, it's okay to mention my name, right? And to tell me, because I want our operator to dash y'all in the trench quick, 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 quick. We don't want to waste time with y'all. We don't want to waste our time and energy or give you guys space with your propaganda. Not here. Go somewhere else for that, because we do not hesitate to throw you guys in the trench. Done with. Now, let's get back to these Pakus. Mark Phillips, Paku 1, and Ejil, Paku 2. So now, we saw the lie. We saw the lie. We saw the lie. We heard the lie, sorry. We know what they're about. And, you know, something just crossed my mind. Let me just say this for a moment. Let me say this for a moment. There are people out there. There are some Pakus out there. Some of them want to score cheap political points by giving the impression that they're fair. They're really nice, you know. And this whole thing here, they're trying to say that this whole thing here, it's not about politics. Why can't we just all get along? The nation is mourning. Put our political differences aside, because this whole thing is not about politics. And people have to stop scoring according to them. El Debra is he who's saying, I got the Midas touch, right? Because people are going to come and tell you. Some political Pakus are going to tell you, and some others, mind you, are going to say, wait a minute. This is not about politics. Stop the crap. This is about politics. And then the other set of Pakus are going to say to you, people should stop trying to score political points. Really? Who are the people that should stop trying to score political points? If you are saying that these vagabonds should stop trying to score political points, well, then I can agree, because that is all these vagabonds in the PPP regime are attempting to do, is to score cheap political points by giving the impression as though they care about the people of Guyana, that they care about you, that they care about the victims. Evidence is clear. And based on history, these vagabonds do not care about the people. Imagine this clown that's on the screen, Irfan Ali, has a ranch worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And the chickens and the cows and the pigs and the sheep, black belly or whatever kind of belly, they are sleeping with air condition. They have lights, they have everything, they have good foods, and so forth and so on. But the people of Guyana, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your political affiliation, this is the treatment. This is how you have to live. And these are the risks that you have to take by putting your lives on the line. And not only your lives, by putting your family lives on the line as well, by traveling in this way. Okay, take a look. Look, a billion, and Guyana is supposed to be, guys. Guyana is supposed to be the fastest growing economy. The fastest growing economy in the world. They love to describe Guyana as little Dubai. Is this little Dubai with that little ferry? We cannot be ungrateful to this ferry. This ferry should be out of existence a while now. But it is still there. 87 years. 87 years, and it is still there because the corrupt government of Guyana, the corrupt installed government of Guyana, they do not know better. They do not have a vision. They keep spending hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars to repair this 87-year-old ferry. They got another ferry from India the other day that cost taxpayers of Guyana 18 million US dollars. 18 million US dollars. They keep wasting money. Then there was another ferry that Air Finale, they just use it to sport, wind up, dance up on Independence Day, and then you don't know what happened to that ferry. It is only there to use for Irfan Ali and his boys and his girls and whatever else. That's all it's there for. So taxpayers, regardless of who they are, taxpayers are always getting the raw end of the stick. Nothing good for taxpayers of Guyana. All these vagabonds in the PPP want is everything for themselves. Every single thing. And this is not pointing fingers. I want the PPP supporters to know that they are affected by this. They are affected because Air Finale doesn't care about you guys. All they're doing is they're getting richer and richer and richer, and they're using poor PPP supporters to fight their battle for them, whilst people are dying every single day. Now, take a look at the ethnicities of those individuals who died thus far and those who are missing. It's a representation, for the most part, of Guyana. It's not one set of individuals, ethnic group that died. It's everybody. I see a lot of African brothers and sisters. I see a lot of our Indian brothers and sisters, our indigenous people, and so forth and so on, have died thus far. So this is not a one-sided thing. All are affected based on the negligence of the corrupt PPP regime. And so for those who say people are trying to score political, I don't think the opposition, members of the opposition, supporters of the opposition, and opposition MPs, I don't think they are trying to score cheap political points. What they are trying to do is to ensure that they blow the cover of the corrupt PPP regime to show that it is people like Ejil and Irfan and those individuals and Ignar or Indar or whoever who falls under Ejil, Ignar or Indar. They are the ones who are spreading propaganda. They are the ones who are spreading misinformation. They are the ones who want to mislead the nation. And because it is shows like this one and In the Ring and Kadaki and Wayne Caesar and others, they have lots of other programs. The Highlighters, Clinton Hollingsworth, they have lots of other shows. I see one or two of them cussing our friend from England, Norman Brown, and so forth. It is because of shows, these sort of shows, including Judge Shishi. We can't leave Judge Shishi. Is very political, you know. Very political. And then we have Simona Brooms as well. And then you have, I don't know when was the last time Melly Mel did a live, right? And then you have Melly Mel as well. And because of that, it doesn't matter their political persuasion, mind you, right? All of those individuals, all of these shows are the shows that are exposing the corrupt PPP regime. And because of that now, because they cannot get their way, they have some of their minions out there who would say that we shouldn't try to score cheap political points. No. It is the PPP that's attempting to score cheap political points, and we are the ones who are stopping them from that, because we are here to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Had it not been for us, do you think that the lies from Ejil and the corrupt PPP regime, do you think they would have been exposed? People would have been listening to them and think this here for a second. Let's go back here. This is what people probably would have been thinking. Let's hear this vagabond.
is licensed to carry 284 tons of cargo. The cargo manifest shows that we had 268 tons, way below the cargo load. Secondly, the MV Burima is licensed to carry 397 passengers, and we only had 116 passengers on board. The misinformation of overloading as the cause of this incident must be dealt with for what it is: misinformation and something to create panic and public mischief, and we debunk that in the very strongest terms. The boat was not overloaded by passengers or by cargo. There was no engine problem or any mechanical problem. Even the survivors who made videos from the hospital, they're telling you what happened. And it had nothing to do with overload and boat taken in water.
Hi, sir. What's your name?
Donald Modest.
Mr. Modas, can you tell me what occurred?
Yesterday we went on the boat and they overload the boat. Right? Top middle and the bottom, ram it stops.
So I just want you to know that this is a survivor. And he has contradicted, obviously, on the spot, contradicted that lying vagabond, Ejil, who's supposed to be a bishop, a man of God, lying to you guys like that. Listen to this survivor. He was there. Who do you believe? Ejil or this survivor? Of course, I know who I believe. And it's definitely not Ejil.
What, to get in the hatch and sink the boat. And the boat ended up turning. Before we left, they was trying to get the boat off the sandbank because they parked the boat inside. And it's stick up with the mud. And they had about 3/4 to an hour trying to get it off. And when they get it off, it started walking from one engine. And they still go with it. They stop. You got the mechanic man walking in the engine and still forcing the boat to go. I feel the boat must be black up somewhere or something because that. Right? I was sitting in my mouth and I saw the boat go like this. And then after I wait, and when it rolled over, watching it going back like this, but it keep going over. So what I did, I waited till when it raised up and I plunged. And the wave shy me back in the boat. So I had to just loose my bag and start fighting to catch it up. I reach it up, it sent me back again. 2 times I get through back. But I just relax, catch myself and start paddling and I come up top. When I come up and I see the light, I said, please fast, and I start swimming and hold on from 2 long vanillin full, hold on under, then I watch to see a bottle, hold on in the bottle, and hold on in a gas bottle and I hug the 2 together. And I get about 4 or 9 other people come and we were on that. We even help a girl with your baby, hold it, and that was it.
Thank you, sir.
I came my last 1.8 because I had a lot of things about I freighted it, so they got it in the book. So the minister said, going to get back. They're going to get on back to you. They give you 100,000. And they say, there's some kind of money for buy something, but they're sending me back. I'm a businessman. I don't live in environment, but I do a business there. All my things gone down. Right? So if I ask that minister, if I could spend...
the Ministry of Social Protection?
I asked the minister if I could, the little 100,000 they give me, if I could go and buy my motorbike parts and all them things, my motorbike parts gone down. If I go back out there with the parts, it can make sense, plus all my goods where they can, not gone down. Right? I even asked him if he can spend another day or 2, that the little fine money could buy something for my sister to spend on and buy something for work, because I'm not, whatever stocks I left up there, days work.
Okay,
and
so
nothing fresh.
you heard there. This is an eyewitness. This is not a lying scum of who, of course, that describes Bishop Ejil, a lying vagabond. Now, I want you guys to listen to this here. This is what Bishop Ejil said almost 3 years ago. 3 years ago, guys.
Chairman, the new vessel that is expected to come on stream would be the MV Malaysia, which is en route to Guyana. It has left Port Calcutta and it's coming to Guyana. That boat will service the Georgetown Region 1 route, making stops at Mabaruma, marijuana, Port Kaituma. And that will replace the MV Barima and the MV Kimbia that presently traverse those routes. Mr. Chairman, the new...
So you guys heard, right? This lying vagabond, 3 years ago told the nation in Parliament, as they would describe it as Parliament. In Parliament, they said that this ferry will no longer be in existence, that another ferry was traveling from Delhi to Guyana, and when it gets to Guyana, it's going to replace this MV Barima that has been around for 87 years. This ferry continues. In 2024, they had a repair, or 2023 or somewhere thereabout, for 90 million Guyana dollars. And recently, this same ferry was earmarked for another set of repairs for over 100 million Guyana dollars. And so the question is, guys, again, Tanti Moral is lying. This vagabond Bishop Edgel is lying again. If in fact that they wanted to get rid of this MV Barima since 2023, then why do they continue to spend hundreds of millions of dollars for something that they know is beyond repair? It is a matter of corruption, and beyond that, it is a matter of deception to the people of Guyana. So when certain people jump out there to say that people shouldn't make this about politics, this is not about politics, and people got to stop scoring cheap political points and all sort of bullshit, right? Remember the 20 or 21 students that died at Madhya. Remember, it's the same thing. Oh yeah, don't try to score cheap political points. Remember with the Henry boys. Oh yeah, don't try to score cheap political points. Remember with Adriana Young. Oh yeah, don't try to score cheap political points. Remember with the shooting and killing of so many people. They always come up and they always get their lagu-bagus to come and say that this is not about politics. And people should stop trying to score political points. When they say people should stop trying to score political points, I want you guys to know that they are talking about us. They're talking about us who refuse to believe the lies and the propaganda and the misinformation coming out from the mouths of these individuals who always, as it is known by this guy, Irfan Ali, who's always there to say, no effort will be spared. Absolutely no effort will be spared. Go and tell that to Adriana Young parents. Same thing. Go and tell that to the parents or the family and the relatives of the Henry boys. No stone will be left unturned. So what next? What is he going to tell the family or families of these people? That no water will be left in the ocean because they're going to drain every drop of water in order to get to the bottom of the situation? Is that what they're going to tell family members? People are grieving. People are crying. People are still awaiting anxiously to get some sort of word, some sort of hope that their loved ones are still alive, even as we approach 48 hours, over 48 hours, and no proper answers from the corrupt PPP regime other than propaganda and stage show public relations effort to just take photographs take videos and plaster it on social media to make it appear as though they care, when in fact they do not care and they are not prepared. They are lying to you guys. Now, listen to this Paku. Two Pakus there. One said yesterday, for sure it's 116 persons. Hours later, he came back. He never apologized to the nation, but he said there should be more numbers. And then they were misinformed. They're the ones who were misinforming the nation. And then, as an excuse, they come to say that they were misinformed. But they never apologized to you guys because they were playing cheap politics. They were attempting to score cheap political points and to make it appear as though they were working in the best interest of the nation. And they oftentimes love to say this crap that they are caring government and they only care about themselves. They care about cows. They care about black belly sheep. They care about goats, and they care about their concubines, whether their concubines are locked up in some house in Linden or wherever. They care about their concubines. They do not care about you, the ordinary working class people of Guyana. Now, this Paku, Mark Phillips, said that the divers are out there. I bet they cannot show the evidence that the divers were out there at the time Mark Phillips claimed that they were. At that time in the evening, I doubt that they were divers there. They may have been scoping out the area, but do you think at that time in the night that the divers are going to go down there? Are those divers equipped? Do they have the tools to go down there and do what? Is it that they're creating a recipe for accidents to happen with those rescuers, those boats that are not equipped? What exactly are they telling people? We don't want an accident where the rescuers from the GDF, or maybe if there's some from the police and so forth and so on, and others, to get into an accident, all because Mark Phillips and others just want to prove a point that they care and that they're working. They don't care. All they want to do is to correct or to make it appear that they care so that they can shift the blame away from them. They are responsible for this incident. Now, one or two of you may suck your teeth and say, how or why? Well, they are in office. They have been installed. They're the ones who run the show. And if they were listening to some of the complaints concerning these ferries, if they had replaced the BMV Barima, then we would not have been having this show, quite possible. We would not. And then over 100 persons would not have been missing tonight. The exact figures, the exact numbers, we would never know. But it's way higher than they want you to believe. It is not 80-something people that are still missing. It could be over 120, maybe 140 people. Now, some of you might say, Ben Chapman, maybe 80-something. But to say 120-something, 130-something, oh yeah, it could possibly be that, and even more, because there were lots of little children, small picnic. There were babies as well. I mean, I wasn't there, but the eyewitnesses, the survivors are the ones who are telling us that, not me. The survivors are saying that there were lots and lots of little children. And that is why I'm saying that the numbers can go up. And we've got to be careful that the corrupt PPP regime do not hide the exact numbers. And they are going to continue to hide things from you guys because they don't want you to know the truth of what really transpired. And so they're going to shift the blame now. And they're going to say, the captain was tested positive for marijuana. Some crew members were tested positive for marijuana. As if they smoked marijuana that night. No one would know that. But the question is, were they tested for alcohol? Did they take breathalyzer test? I don't know. But if they did, then Edgel and this other Paku, Mark Phillips, should say to the nation that the captain and other crew members, they were given, breathalyzer test, and they passed the breathalyzer test. Say that. Did they take a breathalyzer test or not? And tell the nation that the captain and crew members possibly passed it. And obviously, they probably passed it. But the corrupt PPP regime guys don't want to tell you that. And so they're going to shift now to the marijuana thing and say, oh, well, they have weed in the system. And so because they have weed in the system, notice where the blame is going now, They had weed in the system and they weren't supposed to have that. But from my understanding, Bishop Edgel and all these guys know what's going on there. So the weed thing is nothing new. The weed thing is nothing new. They're just trying to shift the blame now and say that those guys smoke marijuana, they smoke ganja, weed or whatever, and they are the ones that's responsible. That is what Edgel is trying to do. That is what Mark Phillips is attempting to do. Notice they jumped. Paku Edgel jumped from saying that a big wave. Remember, he said a big wave. I don't know what big wave he's talking about, right? A big wave came, bloom, and that was it. He also said that there was no mechanical problem. He also said that it wasn't overload. Now, wait a minute. Let's touch on whether it was overcrowded or not. Edgel said it was not overcrowded. It turned out that it was overcrowded. Edgel said that it was not overloaded. Turns out that it was overloaded. Edgel said that it wasn't a mechanical problem. Turns out, according to survivors, that it was the ferry was moving with one engine, not two. It has two engines, but it was moving with just one engine. This is a man who has been caught with his pants down, not in that hideout house in Linden, but live on television. He was caught with his pants down, lying to the nation. And he is supposed to be a man of God. How could a man of God stray you guys from the truth? How could a man of God lie so without any shame? How? Every single thing they get caught lying about. And then they jump and they say that they were misinformed. But this same guy was saying that others, obviously in the opposition and so forth, were misinforming the nation. They were spreading misinformation. It turns out that the biggest one, the biggest gangster in misinformation, turns out to be Edgel. He is the gangster in this. Now I want to go back to this Paku, Mark Phillips. Mark Phillips, the Coast Guard, the GDF and so forth, and all those guys, they got billions of dollars for the military. Billions of dollars for the military. They were out there 6+ hours after the distress call was made. Now, they claim that the distress call made sometime around 11 o'clock that night. But according to eyewitnesses and survivors, the survivors said that it took them 6 hours before they got to the spot. 6 hours. And some of them had to wait an additional 2 hours. So in other words, the survivors stayed there for 8 hours. And yet billions of dollars in the budget for military, training and all these sort of things. Equipment, we hear about, the military has not received all of this money, never before, but under the PPP regime, this is what they're getting. Well, if they're getting billions and billions of dollars and all of the equipment, well, where are those equipment? Don't tell us, we don't want to hear what happened to the 2 helicopters because it's done with. There was something in the cockpit and serious electrical problem. They tried to fix it and it damaged the cockpit. The same procedure they used for the second helicopter, and it was damaged the exact same way. So both helicopters are done. We don't know what they use the GDF helicopters to transport, whether they do it to transport smuggled gold, whether they transport drugs, whether they transport smuggled oil. We don't know. But these helicopters were purchased, I believe, to the tune of 10 million US dollars. Not so long ago. In fact, 2025. Just a little over a year ago. And these helicopters are done. It was supposed to be a good investment. It was supposed to be something they all bragged about. When Irfan Ali moved up, they had some, welcoming of these two helicopters. The chief of staff was there, Omar Khan. They were all there and they were happy. And right after that, guess what? Irfan traveled a couple of times in it, probably moved around some little black belly sheep in it, cows and goat and all these sort of things. And guess what? They're no longer working. And so the Coast Guard, with the billions of dollars the Army gets, taxpayers' money in the budget, nothing is there. Absolutely nothing. You know who really are the heroes? The ordinary individuals who are out there with the little boat, the small boats. Look, a couple of fishermen are the ones who discovered the location of the ferry. Take a listen, guys. Please do.
Video. Start now.
Cho đơn start.
Japan 28-23. The video, everything there? Yeah?
Now this is where the vessel, the deep part of the ocean, this is where the vessel is said to be. And it wasn't discovered by Coast Guards. It wasn't. It was discovered by some fishermen and a fisherwoman. I believe I heard a woman's voice there. And that is how it was discovered. And when they discovered it, they were the ones that had to show the Coast Guard and stuff where this vessel is said to have gone down, because people's stuff start to float up. And that's the area now they have to keep an eye on, because that is where bodies and nearby that particular area, you will see bodies start to pop up tomorrow, possibly dozens of bodies. And now the question is the corrupt PPP regime, are they prepared for what the nation would witness tomorrow? A tragedy that comes close to resembling the Jim Jones massacre. This, unlike the Jim Jones massacre, so to speak, this is a modern day political massacre, because it is as a result of politics that led to the deaths of these people. The politics neglect by the PPP regime. Let us not run away from that. Let us not stifle our conscience. And let us not try to play nice politics, according to some people who try to say this is not about politics. And let us put politics aside. No, we cannot put politics aside when these political vagabonds are the ones who are destroying the country. Put politics aside for what? To cover up for the negligence of the PPP regime? No. In any other parts of the world, guess what? These vagabonds would have had to resign. They had to go. But only in Guyana they can be as brazen as they are, shameless as they are, to sit at press conferences, so-called press conferences, and misinform, continue to misinform the nation. This vagabond, Irfan Ali, said something, and just about 9 minutes, something he said for 9 minutes, and only God knows exactly what he was trying to say. But here is what's going to happen. Here, to look out for this. Friday might be declared a national day of mourning. This Friday, may be a national day of mourning. All of these things will be a distraction. Not that they care, not that they want to solve situations or problems in the country, but all they want to do, and this is where I agree with some individuals, albeit some of them are misguided. I agree with some of them that political points should not be scored. But shame on the PPP regime who are using this tragedy to score political points, cheap political points. We saw what they did with the 20 or 21 young people, students who burnt up in that fire. They used it as a political prop. They tried to score cheap political points with that. They dragged those young kids out of the hospital in order to take photographs with them, just for PR stunt. We see it. This is what they are about, cheap political points. And we must not forget that at all. And so watch out for that day of mourning. But wait a minute before we go. Compensation. They have admitted negligence by claiming, without any independent investigation, that the captain was high on marijuana. They got marijuana came back in their system. And they're trying to blame now the captain, that the captain has smoked marijuana, and this is why it happened. Now, even if, let's say, argument's sake, that that's true, but there's no evidence pointing that that's the actual cause of the accident, right? What about compensation? Some of these guys got 50,000. Like this guy, Nicholas Craig, gave his name as Nicholas Craig. He was there from the beginning until 11 something or until 4 o'clock in the morning, when they finally, 6 hours after, they came to rescue these individuals. 6 hours after, they spent an additional, he and 30 something or maybe 40 something other folks who were rescued, 2 extra hours. So in all, they spent over 8 hours, 6 hours waiting to be rescued. And after they were rescued, they spent another 2 hours in the water. So the rescuers picked them up, dashed them in a boat, spin rung a little bit for another 2 hours, and then took them to Charity Hospital. After they arrived at Charity Hospital, no police interviewed them. No police asked them any questions. There was no one there to counsel them or anything. But what we heard from this survivor and other survivors who are not speaking out at this time, but they are pissed off, was that some so-called government minister or official or whomever gave them 50,000 Guyana dollars, which is equivalent to what? About 240 or so US dollars. 50,000 Guyana dollars, and say, go along your way. Go along your way. That's it. Now, we got to hear what's going to happen next. A class action lawsuit. Because the corrupt PPP regime doesn't care. A class action lawsuit against them. Every family member deserves to be compensated. And not no burial money, wake money, 500,000, and these sort of things. every family member and every survivor has to be properly compensated. Real money, even if it's 10 to 15 to 20 million dollars per family. I would prefer to see that money spent that way rather than go into somebody's ranch or go into somebody's concubine traveling all throughout the country, compliments of taxpayers' money. These people must be compensated. They are people who lost lots of valuables, lots of things. They ought to be compensated. Compensation should not just be or restricted to Polari lady or a man that claimed an old bus that never worked for 10 years got burnt up. Self-inflicted wound probably. And he also out in Manripo. And Polari lady in Manripo got over $1 million for her Polari. These people must be properly compensated. And I hope lawyers are out there to take up these cases as quickly as possible. This is, apart from the James Jones or Jonestown tragedy, this is the worst. All the newscasts around the world, all over around the world, they have it. Shame on the PPP. Shame on Irfan Ali. I saw some people say, oh, he dropped what he was doing and he returned to Guyana. No, he didn't drop what he was doing. He didn't want to go back to Guyana. He was forced to go back. That's what happened. He was forced to go back to Guyana. I want you guys to listen to this.
This is a serious matter, very, very serious, and it should not go unpunished. It should not go down easily. Should not. And this is not politicizing the matter. This is simply calling for justice in the face that somebody has to be held accountable. And somebody in high authority, not these public servants that sometimes tell you plain that the boat can't go because of this. Listen, I heard your story here about one engine and people saying that the boat got to go. If the boat functions on 2 engines and the people had refused, you know what they would do? Take them people off the job and find other people who carry it on the 1 engine as opposed to fix it. And those people, they earn small amount of monies. It's their livelihood, and they have to go with the instructions. They can't fight the system. Because if the captain and the engineers and the crew fight with the system, the possibility exists they would have lost their job. And someone would have replaced them and instructed to take.
It does happen. Look, Christmas time. Sometimes Christmas time, sometimes the boat left in here normally, and the ranger then they used to set the boats them, especially the region 1 them boat. They used to set the system so whereby the boat them go and then come back, husband come back to spend Christmas with their family and so on. But then change up all of that. So sometimes the boat leaving here Christmas Eve day. I can remember one time it never happened. I tell people I never see it happen. Boat had to leave here Old Year's Day. New Year's break them on sea. Sometimes they buys them again. Them is come and complain, Auntie Diane. They say if we not go, then go find somebody else. We got to go. We got to go, Auntie Diane. Sometimes me just tell my husband, I said, Neil. I could remember one time I tell her, I said, Neil, you never only spend all years and New Year's away from we. Oh, normally we just go to church all year's night as a family. He said, Diana got to go. Because sometimes if I ain't go, I'll find somebody else.
That's the exact. You see,
then I
let me
said,
tell you something. You see these sailors, these engineers.
Opposition MP Ganesh Mahipal on the ground there. Opposition MP Sherrod Duncan. Opposition MP Saiku Andrews. Opposition MPs are on the ground doing their thing, and kudos to them. Kudos to the opposition guys. Kudos to them. Except the one opposition individual who jumped right off the bat to say that this is not about politics. This is not about politics. Everything is about politics in all of this. But I'll be back tomorrow, maybe tomorrow morning, maybe tomorrow midday, or whatever. Look, this is Ejil. Says MV Barima was not overloaded or had mechanical issues. This idiot of an individual. Now, when a ship, and experts have been calling and talking to, when a ship or a ferry, in this case, traveling with just one engine, it can easily capsize. Because if water goes in there or whatever it is, it cannot balance itself out to get the water out from the other side. And so that's exactly what happened. So this idiot Edgil says that, what he blames it? He blames it on the Atlantic tides. This Paku, the Atlantic tide probably, anyways, what I want to say, I can't say it publicly, but I'm out of here, guys. Thank you so much. This is all about politics, except cheap political points being scored or attempting to be scored by these Pakus in the PPP regime. These vagabonds, these bloodsuckers, these crasses in the PPP regime. I'm out of here. And to all of those who are still praying for some miracle to happen with their loved ones, we all are with you. Government officials aren't with you. They caused this problem. Do not be fooled. They are the reason this thing happened. They try to lie, they try to cover up with misinformation and propaganda, but it's not working. That lady that you heard from earlier named Diane, I think 7 children for her. A couple of them have been, have survived. She's still awaiting answers for about 4 of them. We got to pray for her. We got to pray for all those who are waiting for some sort of good word back as we drift into the darkness of the night. And the PPP continues to lie to the nation. The question is, how many more? How many more? And what next? Pray for the nation. I'm out of here. God bless you.
Sing